Hello and welcome once again to Breakfast All Day. We've had a really busy day, busy week for you so far. We're just going to keep talking about movies, giving you as many options as possible to keep you distracted, busy, whatever, while we're all stuck at home. The latest is kind of a downer. If you're in the headspace for the catharsis of Ken Loach, if you're ready for a very, very depressing movie,
We're skidding toward a global recession. What better time than to watch a Ken Loach movie about the working class?
It's called Sorry We Missed You. Matt, please describe Sorry We Missed You. Sorry to bother you.
Right. So for those people that don't know Ken Loach, he tells these pretty harrowing stories about working class Brits. They're pretty rough. This is his very damning take on the gig economy. So Ricky starts out. We start the movie hearing a man named Ricky talking to his soon-to-be boss, Mahoney, about how it's going to work being a driver for this delivery company. And he's not working for the company; he's providing a service, and he's not really an employee. He's a franchisee. He's got his own business. All of these things that are part of what we now know and call the gig economy. And this is a company that does rapid deliveries, and they're kind of that end run company that they make deliveries for, potentially Amazon and Apple and whoever else. We've probably seen one of these types of drivers delivering here in the States. And it's, allegedly making your own hours. But you have, as Ricky discovers, he's got to buy his own truck because there's more money in that, allegedly. So he talks his wife into selling their car so he can put the down payment on the van, because otherwise it's £65 a day to rent the van from the company. So, they're already deeply in debt. They're in more debt by selling her car. So now she's got to take the bus and she can't work as many hours. She's a home caregiver, and he's got to increasingly do deliveries. Meanwhile, as they work harder and harder, both these parents are working more and more, spending more and more time from home, and their son and daughter are suffering from that. And we see over the course of this movie, the family starts to fall apart, and it becomes this extremely heartbreaking, vicious circle, almost Sisyphean, in that you can't ever get out from under the debt. And this is a powerful movie, but I got to tell you, I don't think this is a great watch these days.
This is a slasher movie where the role of Jason Voorhees is played by capitalism. And yeah. I was watching it like a slasher movie, like something terrible would happen, some setback would occur, some thing beyond their control that was just going to make them more in debt and more, just going to complicate their lives. And I would just be like, no, not the, it's a very hard watch, especially right now when for many of us, our ongoing employment and sources of income are in a very precarious place.
So what you guys are saying is I shouldn't have suggested that we review this movie this week.
No, look, Ken Loach is great, and the movie is here now, so we have to talk about it because that's also our job.
Right.
But I'm just, for people at home, if, you are staying at home because you've been furloughed or laid off or, whatever, and you don't quite know how the next few months are going to go, this might not be the movie you want to watch right now because you're already soaking in this level of economic anxiety, which Ken Loach has always captured in a brilliant way and continues to do so here. I mean, if this movie wasn't so good and so effective, I wouldn't be freaking out about it. But I literally just finished watching it before we started recording today, and it was just like, oh.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this is, we can't really stick our heads in the sand, right? Sure. This is a powerful movie. And one of the things it does really well is it never tilts into melodrama. There's a couple moments in this movie that I think a lesser filmmaker would have some over the top tragedy happen. And it never does. It's just kind of like day-to-day crap. And, you realize that if you know, I mean, as cliches as this sounds, you know, this movie does an excellent job dramatizing and showing in its quieter moments, and this is where the horror comes from, is that if you've got no safety net, the smallest thing or even a minor, like even a mid-range thing can completely take everything away from you. Right. And it's, you know, it starts that there's smaller pieces that are making it tougher and tougher. And so, you know, like you hear people say, you know, or you'll read about like, boy, you know, there's a lot of people in this country that can't go 2 months without a paycheck or whatever it is. Right. Or a couple of weeks.
Or like so many of us are one like major illness away from bankruptcy. You know?
Right. And that's what this movie shows us, like what that life is like. And, you know, how, you know, if Ricky misses a day of work to deal with something for the family, it literally costs him money because of the job that he's in. You know, when they talk about £100 fine, like that's a couple $100. Right. And when you don't have that, that's tough. And, you know, obviously, right. Like, and one of the things this movie is so good at is these characters are not cliches. They're aware. Like the discussions that Ricky has with Abby, his wife, are, you know, there's a scene where like, where did it all go wrong? And kind of like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And they have these discussions where they're talking about their relationship and you see like, it's not like they're abusive. It's not like they're like, oh, well, they've dug their own hole. Like, sure, maybe they did, but it's not for lack of trying.
Right? They're trying to get by like so many people are. And what Ken Loach does so effectively is he can convey a whole lifetime just by observing these people and by observing how they communicate with each other. So for example, it is pretty bleak for the most part, but then there are these like tiny moments of hope or levity, at least. You know, there's one guy that he delivers a package to who's a fan of a different soccer team than Ricky is. Yeah. And that goes hilariously wrong. He brings his daughter with him to do deliveries on a Saturday, and you see what kind of father he is. You see a whole other side of him, not just as a worker, but as a human being and a dad. And so he is able to convey a whole lot about these people and this world very naturally, very organically, and often wordlessly. The whole bait and switch with the asshole who runs this company is just heartbreaking because he is tossing out all this like happy sounding corporate jargon about, you know, you don't get hired, you're onboarded.
Right.
We onboard you. And it sounds like finally he's going to be able to make some money and create a nice life for his family. The reason that they're in the situation that they are in financially is because of the recession in 2008. Yeah. So that once again, they are the victims of circumstance and finance, and they're just trying to get by.
And these are the kind of people that like a Fox News commentator would try and tell you, like, oh, they need to pull themselves up from their bootstraps. They need to not be so lazy. It's like these people are working, you know, 16-hour days. They're completely not getting to spend time with their family, and they're just like on the hamster wheel that they cannot get off of. And that's just the way these systems are designed to crush you, basically. And so there are, for people who are just sort of willfully ignorant of how the world treats most of the people in it right now and are trying to blame those people for somehow, you know, it being their fault that they've fallen behind or whatever. Like, this is the kind of movie they should and probably never will see to sort of understand what exactly is going on.
You also learn a lot about his wife, Abby, from watching her take care of her patients. She doesn't want to call them clients, but they are clients, and she is now forced to go visit them on on the bus schedule. And you learn a lot about her patience and her empathy.
Compassion.
Right. And so, like, when she finally snaps, like, which I would have done way earlier. I mean, you realize, oh, this is coming from deep within her. She's been holding on to all this because she feels like she has to hold the whole family together. And even just like moments where she's leaving a message for her daughter on her cell phone, or she's walking from the bus to her next appointment. And she's like, okay, I left the permission slip and the money for you for your field trip on the, and there's Tupperware in the fridge.
There's a montage of like 5 calls in a row where she's like, juggle all this stuff.
And so she's also holding the whole family together while this is happening.
Yeah. Right. And she talks about, there's that scene where she talks about her rule with the people she gives care to is treat them like she would treat her mother. Right. Yeah. So and you see there's that call where she comes up against the company saying, no, we're not going to pay you for that.
Well, yeah, they don't pay her by the hour; they pay her by the visit. So
they pay her by the visit, and
3 hours. It's right, payment, but she's not going to walk away when somebody clearly needs her to be there.
Right, and the damning thing that this movie says is, over and above the things about capitalism and like how people are worked to death, is in both the adults' cases, their humane decisions, their humanity costs them money. Right. And that's the damning thing in this movie, right? It's like, yeah, we could pick apart like the gig economy and all that stuff, but what it comes down to it is that when these characters make the decision to be human and treat other people with love and compassion, it costs them money. Mm-hmm. And that's the tragedy at the end of this movie is that there's no escaping that.
It's one or the other, yeah.
Right.
And
they got the NHS, and we don't.
Yeah,
but the NHS isn't what it used to be. Sorry, Christy.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, you see that because he's having to wait. Anyway.
Hours to get.
Yeah. But it is, and it sounds like it's harrowing, and it is harrowing. But part of why it is so effective is because, as Matt pointed out, there's such great restraint in the tone. Like there's no melodramatic score that accompanies awful things happening. They just happen, and we are just watching it. And it reminded me a lot of like, the Dardenne brothers do this kind of thing too. Well, the socialist realist filmmaking where they just want to watch regular people going about their lives and their daily struggles, and how can that illuminate the rest of the world.
And we care so much because I think these characters become really indelible. They aren't just sort of like puppets of suffering. Loach really knows how to create these sort of 3-dimensional flesh and blood people. So they aren't just sort of symbols of the working class. Like they are people, and you're watching people that you've come to care about go through the ringer, and it's arduous.
Yeah, somewhat similar to what we talked about in Tiger Tail. Like the kids don't really, especially the son, Seb, doesn't really realize that his parents have lives, right? And you get a hint of that from Abby talking to one of her patients, talking about her relationship with Ricky when they were younger. And this movie strays away from being the typical, like, among other things, the father-son, like, we don't understand each other. Like there's that great scene where Ricky's kind of going through Seb's art, right? And, going through his scrapbook, it's like, he's really looking for something. He's got a lot of questions. And one of the tragedies of this movie is that Ricky is so exhausted, and his wife keeps telling him, he's so exhausted, he can't emotionally, not just physically, he can't emotionally be there for his kids at all. And you see his kids begging him to just be around. And it's not like just go back to the way it was. Like we miss the guy, like they miss their father. Right. Yeah. And he's not avoiding them because he's a bad dad. It's because he's trying to keep a roof over their head and trying to keep it all together. And the only way that he can do it is to go through this like torturous schedule of work and of, getting these packages delivered on time and, fulfilling all the stuff that he has to do. Because there's no safety net that allows him to take a personal day or to they've crafted this whole thing, and you see it in like freelancers and magazines and all these other people that they aren't working for a company anymore. They're contracted out, and so there are no benefits and there's nothing to take care of you.
Yes. I now have a newfound compassion for all of the delivery folks I see so many more of now. I mean, there aren't a lot of cars in the neighborhood, but there's UPS and there's, Amazon, because they're the ones bringing stuff to folks. So I feel even more, given the situation that we're in and the potential hazards to which they're exposing themselves. I definitely appreciate all the hard work that goes into that job now.
Yeah, just a quick PSA. Right now, if you are ordering like restaurant delivery or grocery delivery, any of that stuff, you better tip like a mofo. like tip 100% if you can, because these people are all on the front lines of stuff and exposing themselves to all kinds of stuff, and it's a shitty time to be out in the world, and so you really should take care of them.
So on that note, there is a story that hit on CNN about how the what is the grocery store delivery service?
Instacart.
Instacart. So there's a story about how people are bait and switching the tips on Instacart, in that they'll offer a very large tip so that the Instacart contractor will take that order, and then once the order has been delivered, they turn around and they do a 0 tip.
Oh, that's awful.
Right.
Who
So
would think of that?
The scum on Scum's shoes. That's who would think of that.
If you're horrible.
So
That's
a-holes. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. So
well.
Yeah.
So this movie made HBO's years and years look like a laugh riot. I'll just put it that way.
All right, so what are your numbers? I'm saying 8.3.
Did I say 9?
You said 8.6.
I'm going to say 9.
I think I said 9.5, right?
You did. You said 9. So 18.5 plus 8.3 is
26.8. So 9.
Divided by 3, and 9. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you are in the headspace to watch this, it is very worthwhile.
It's on Kino now, and I think it's going to be available for a while, because they're sort of staggering it. Like the movie theater that you rent it from online, that they're splitting the money with, whatever dates they were going to show the actual film is when you can rent it from them. So even if you miss the Film Forum run in New York, you can rent it from another indie art house theater somewhere else in the country later in the month. But yeah, go to kinonow.com. It's where you can rent the film.
Yeah, there are more and more dates and locations. So when I watched it, I don't know if this worked for you ever, Alonso, but I watched it for the South Bay Film Society.
I tried to, and I kept getting like a 501 not found thing. I think their server was kind of overtaxed this morning. So I did wind up getting it from Film Forum in New York, just because they were top of the list, and it worked.
Well, good. I'm glad. So you have many choices. There are many indie theaters that could really use the help.
Yes.
Part of your purchase goes toward that. So it's like a $12 purchase, and part of your purchase would go to the theater that would have gotten that ticket money.
Yeah. So find one near you, or, find one that seems like, I was sending people for Bacurau. There's a theater in Alaska that one of the listeners of Linoleum Knife works at. It's like, they could use the help, I'm sure. So, anyway, thank you all for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and visit us at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay, where we have lots of fun extra content for our subscribers, whom we love, and you too for watching. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you next time. Bye.